Hello, welcome to my channel. Happy New Year. My name is Katie. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 tips for budgeting, money management and saving more money in general. Let's get to it. Number one is have multiple bank accounts. Now, some of my friends have laughed at me in the past for having so many different types of bank account, but I find it really helpful for my own money management and to know where my money stands and how much I've got for certain saving goals. So as an example, the accounts that I have, I've got a lifetime ISA, which is my house deposit savings. I've got a high interest cash savings account, which is for my emergency fund and also my car fund, because I'm saving to buy a new car at the moment. I'm going to need one very soon. And then with my regular bank that I've had for a few years, I've got a current account, a credit card, and then I've also got 2 online savings accounts with them as well. So that's all in the same app with my bank that I can access online with mobile banking. Now, the 2 savings accounts with this bank are very low interest. I think they're 0.05, so I don't really get anything out of putting my money in there, but I do find it really helpful to be able to separate my money. For example, if I've got a lump sum coming out, I've got my car insurance due next month, so I've put money aside into that account so that I can't spend it. So that's categorised as money that I need, don't touch. And I also use one of them for my credit card spendings, but I will talk about that in a little bit. I have heard that some banks allow you to rename the accounts to your saving goal, for example, house or holiday or whatever it is that you're saving for. I think my brother mentioned that Monzo might do it. He's got a bank account that allows him to do that, so he's renamed his bank accounts to his goal, which is really helpful to understand where your money's going and what it's for. Number 2 is to pay yourself first. Now, this one might seem really obvious to some people, but we are covering all of the bases in case that you don't already do this. So what this means is essentially transfer your money into savings at the beginning of the month, not at the end after you've spent everything, because you will end up saving less if you do it that way. What I would suggest doing is making a budget, taking a look at all of the bills that you have every month versus your income, your salary coming in every month, and work out how much you can actually afford to save, and put this amount away at the beginning of every month on your payday. Treat it as a bill, an expenditure, something that you're not allowed to spend. And also, I do find that if the money is not in my account, I'm not as tempted to spend it as if it was sat there visible. If you can't see it, then hopefully you won't be as tempted to spend it. Number 3 is sort of on the back of the last one, is to have a fun savings pot. So in a similar way that you budget your savings to go out every month, I think it's a really good idea to budget a fun pot every month as well. So what this means is setting yourself an amount of money that you can spend on leisure. So this could be anything from eating out, shopping, day trips, family trips, anything like that that's not a bill and that doesn't occur every month. I think it's a really good idea to bundle it all together into one financial amount so that you know how much you're allowed to spend every month on treating yourself and having fun. And I find this really helps me stick to all of my budgets so that I know exactly what I'm allowed to spend. One thing I would add in this point is that I'm tired of hearing stop buying coffees out, you can make drinks at home, buy a coffee machine, etc. If you want to buy a coffee out and you know that you will, and you know that you won't stick to making coffee at home, then go and do that, that's fine. Just add it into your budget and make sure that you've accounted for that in your leisure spending money. I think saving is all about being realistic. Don't set yourself unrealistic goals, and be kind to yourself. You know what you're going to be spending and you know where your weak points are, so just budget for it and include it. Number 4, when using a credit card, transfer the money. Now, obviously here I have to say that I'm not a financial advisor. This is just a tip that I use for money management, and obviously everybody uses credit cards differently, but I'll share with you the tip that I use to keep on top of my credit card. So I'm using a credit card to boost my credit score, as I don't have any bills really in my name apart from my phone bill. So to keep on top of my credit card bill, what I do is every few days I look at my credit card bill and I transfer the money that I've spent on my credit card from my debit card into the savings account that I've got. So that money is reserved for my credit card at the end of the month. I don't like to pay it off as I go because I like to have that lump sum so the bank knows that I'm paying it back in regular amounts. So I find that really helpful. It reserves the money and I know that I can't spend it. It is slightly easier for me because my current account and my credit card are with the same bank, so I see both accounts on the same mobile banking screen, so it's helpful for me to know how much is in both. But I can imagine if you have a credit card with a different provider, it can get quite confusing having to look back at the different amounts. So I would suggest it can be quite handy to transfer the money as you go, and then you know that you won't be taking money out of next month's pay if you realise you've gone over on your credit card. Number 5, avoid buy now, pay later schemes if you can. Now that bit's very important, if you can. Now I'm not a financial advisor obviously, and I don't want to endorse anyone use these schemes because you can quite easily get into debt using them. But my point today is about if you're able to pay it outright, then I wouldn't choose to use buy now, pay later scheme. And the reason is it can look quite appealing if you're buying something for £100 and it's split into 4 lots of 25, for example. It looks much more appealing to pay £25 in small increments over time. But what you're really doing is just taking the money out of next month's paycheck. And if you can afford it this month, I would do it this month, because otherwise you're going to be more likely to spend that money anyway because it will be sat in your account. And secondly, also, if you're like me, you can forget that those direct debits are due because they're not a normal bill. So you might be surprised the next month to remember that, oh yeah, I forgot that I signed up to pay that, so here's an extra £25 coming out this week that I didn't expect to pay. Number 6 is use roundups and auto savers. Now if you are really bad at saving money and you need a little bit of help, it can be really handy to invest in a savings account that will do the savings for you. So you've got 2 types here. You've got roundups, where a bank account will round up every transaction that you have. For example, if you buy something for £1.50, they will round it up to £2 and put that 50p of savings into a separate account for you. And this is really, really small, and it will allow you to save up small amounts of money without you realising and having to do anything. And a second method is using an auto saver. So an account that I have, Chip, has an auto saver included in it. And what it does is it assesses your current account and calculate somehow how much it thinks that you can afford to save, and usually they've got a scale of how much you would like to save if it's heavy or light usage, so you can decide on how much you actually want to be saving, and it will take the money automatically out of your account for you, so it's just like any other transaction. A lot of these auto savers do have the options to pause and to cancel transactions if you feel like you can't afford it at that time, but also you can just transfer it back if needs be. Number 7 is to calculate annual costs in advance. Now things like this are any types of insurance, so car insurance, home insurance, pet insurance, things like your TV licence, your car tax, anything like that that you can pay in a lump sum that will get you a cheaper deal than if you were to pay monthly by a direct debit. Now this is a bit of a funny one because people have different opinions on this. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day because I always like to pay for things in a lump sum and get a better deal. She's the opposite to me. She likes to pay for things as a direct debit and doesn't like the idea of saving up to then pay a lump sum of money down for something when she could be paying it monthly. She sees it as a sort of waste of savings. So it's definitely a different point of view. Now obviously you normally get a better deal if you pay monthly rather than paying for direct debit. So money wise it's a lot smarter with your money to be able to pay it in a lump sum. But yeah, the point of view she had was that if she's saving up monthly to buy it as a lump sum at the end anyway, she should just pay it monthly. So I understand her point of view, and sometimes you might only save yourself £5 or £10, but I think you will be really pleased with yourself and be really relieved once you've got that lump sum out of the way, because then you've got a year free of those monthly payments. So I do think that it's a good idea to sit down and calculate all the annual lump sum costs that you could make to save yourself some money, and possibly you might need to make a plan to save up X amount of money each month to be able to pay off all of these lump sums at their certain times. Number 8, give yourself a time frame. Now this is an interesting one because I'm somebody who naturally saves money even if I don't have something to save towards. But I was talking to somebody once who said that they didn't feel motivated to save money unless they had something specific that they were saving towards. So that really took me by surprise and made me think about how people have different relations with money and with savings. So what I mean by giving yourself a time frame is put a plan together of how much you want to save by how much time. So for example, you want to save £2,000 in a year, work out how much you'll be able to save every month to be able to reach that goal. And if you know that you're going to be on holiday one month and you won't be able to save any money, that's fine, just tweak the other months so that you know you'll be able to afford it. And I think having this plan will really help you stick to it and know that the end game is going to be this amount of money, and if you stick to it then there will be a result and you're not just saving money for the hell of it. So I think that would really help some people. Number 9, put your money somewhere where you can't access it. This one is more aimed at people who really struggle to save money and are compulsive buyers, that as soon as they have a pot of money they want to spend it. So for these people I would suggest you use a fixed rate ISA, one where you can't take your money out for the fixed rate, normally 1 or 2 years. Although I understand that if people don't have a lot of money, this is quite risky because they might need to access that money at a later date if something breaks down or they need to fix something. I understand that. So if that's the case, then another option could be to find someone who you trust, and I put a lot of emphasis on this word, someone that you trust, to hold your money for you. You can give your money to them, say, I'm trying to save money but I'm really bad. Can I give you this? And you keep it for me, keep it safe so that I can't spend it. And then if I need to get that money, it has to be for a valid reason. Obviously, it's hard to find someone who would be willing to do this. They'll probably need to set up a separate account for you and then be able to put the money in their name. It's probably the wisest to choose a family member, a parent, although I understand not everybody's parents are good with money or are trustworthy, so it is really down to your discretion to choose someone who you think would be able to do this for you, but that can also be a really handy tool as well. Number 10, the last one, is to use cash. Now this one is sort of phasing out. Obviously post-COVID, so many places are not accepting cash anymore or are preferring card as a method of payment, so it's not so easily done. But what I used to do was take my food budget out in cash, so I would set myself a £100 budget for food every month, and I would only be able to use that cash to buy food with, so that I didn't go over budget. And I find that really helpful because also you can see exactly how much money you have left. So I would have the cash in my purse and I could see how much money I had available to spend, and if I could see that I was getting low on money, then obviously I would be more cautious and spend less. So you can set a cash budget for certain things such as food or your fun money, whatever you would like. Also you can use cash as a method to save up for those annual costs that I mentioned earlier. If you're the sort of person who is not very good at saving up in advance for these lump sums, you could always take out a little bit of money out each month, and then you can pay it all off with that cash into the bank if you want at the end, and then you can use that lump sum as a payment. It just gets it out of your bank account and then you're not thinking about it, if you're not the sort of person who will go out and spend the cash once you have it. Okay, that is it. They are my top 10 savings tips for this year. I'm interested to see if there's anything that you hadn't thought of before or something that you might start doing. Really, really interested in your feedback as always. And yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.